making no noise.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I was gonna ask you. Can y'all hear that beeping?
Yeah, we can hear that. But we're
So
already live, y'all. We're already live. For some reason, the
Oh,
intro didn't pop up, but it's all good. It's all golden. Hey, welcome to Things That People Don't Want to Talk About, sponsored by God Level. I guess today, your primary host because God Level was out there doing God Level things. I am your primary host for this evening, John Skywalker. I'm a lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology, and I'm a father. King Newborn, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, bro?
peace, peace, peace. This King Newborn. Please forgive the beeping. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Newborn Everything. And as always, I am for the community. I'm of service for the community, family, friends, and loved ones. And to everybody that's watching this podcast, peace, love, and light. I am that I am because I am. Peace.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And next up, we got my man Sherman down there in the bottom. A little
yeah,
obscure, but go ahead and
yeah.
introduce yourself, bro.
Excuse me being in the dark for a minute. I'm trying to handle a couple of things, but I am Sherman Vaughn. I'm just here to drop as many jewels as I can. That's all I got.
Excellent, excellent. Also, we usually have one of our other co-hosts on here, Ivy. She's out here doing Ivy Tanner things as well. So yeah, it's just gonna be a all brothers podcast tonight, y'all. It's an all brothers podcast. So this topic is a follow-up from our discussion last week where we had Robert on here discussing HIV and its impact in the Black community. And we went backstage and we just started talking and brewing about the next topic. And I started thinking about what we were talking about. And this was all in the vein of sexual health and sexual education. And there was a part during the podcast last week where we were talking about what goes on in the bedroom. It was the shame part that really stuck out. It was like, you know what? I think we still deal with that. I think we still struggle with that. And then that led into, all right, well, is lovemaking a lost art form in the Black community? Even when we got off of the podcast last week, I was talking to the Queen about this a little bit. And I don't want to give away too much of the dialogue, but one of the features that kind of stood out is the objectification, right? Like, all right, when it comes to sexual education, we usually focus on venereal diseases. We kind of talk about the body parts, safe sex. It's all the dangerous stuff. But we don't talk about the parts that are important, the pleasure, and that's education, right? Because you got to know how to please yourself. You got to know how to please your partner. But also, it's like, what is this act? Like, what is the purpose? What is the intent? What are we doing here? You look at the influence of porn, you look at the influence of music, culture in the Black community, might I add. And we have some healthy views of sex, the love of art making. I love how we express our love and our sensuality through our music, through our books, through our movies. And there's a divide. You have some folks that kind of lean over to the idea that, all right, we don't make love anymore as Black people. And I mean, it seems more like an ageist type of thing where lovemaking is for the older folks. And so I wanted to kind of dive into the differences, the distinctions between lovemaking and sex, intimacy and sex. What is our sexual education looking like when it comes, and this is also in lieu of Valentine's Day coming up, right? But I want to really talk about the shame aspect when it comes to lovemaking and sex. I want to talk about our cultural influences. How is it that as Black people, we don't talk about our sexual philosophies more openly? Because, I mean, again, there is a bit of, what's the word that I'm looking for? There's a bit of inequity when it comes to sex between men and women, and that's been historically documented, right? But do we all evaluate how healthy our sex life is, or our sexual views, our sexual ideas? Do we evaluate that? Is it just about sex? Are we using sex as a vehicle to express our love? We're going to talk about it tonight. But first, let's chop into our first question. Gents, how do you define love making versus sex? Do you think the difference matters in relationships today? Who wants to take a shot at that first?
I ain't afraid of stepping up.
Ha.
I'm not saying anybody else is. Um, uh, so how do you define love making versus sex? Do you think the difference? Yeah, it's a difference today. It's a difference today, especially in relationships, because the people that I've talked to, I
Mm,
understand that they know how to identify their love languages. I
mm-hmm.
love that I know that they know. I know that they love the idea of love, but what it actually is and what it actually means to them, they don't have a definition. They
Mm,
can't tell me a definition. They tell me it's mostly attached to transactional things like, oh yeah,
mm,
this person provides this or they provide that, and that's what I hear from the opposite sex on my end. And it's what it's the acts that the woman provides that they think is love, not what love actually means to them or how they see it. So love making is in the far, far distance because you don't even have an idea of love. You got to have that definition first. It has to be visible.
ooh.
It has to have an example. It has to be tangible. You got to know what that is first before you even. Because to be honest, I think it's a lot of adolescent-minded people in relationships
Aha. Mm,
doing what they think love is. That's my
mm.
that's my idea.
King, what you got, man? What you got?
Peace. So,
Peace.
hats to you, Sherman. Yeah, bro.
Love.
I I'm gonna take a I'm gonna go left a little bit. I'm gonna teeter off the tangent and say I don't think it's a difference between sex and love, sex and love
Mm.
making.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna go even further and say intercourse is sex and love making based off the individual's perception of what they think is sex for them or making love for them. Sex is an act which you can use to express your love. So you kind of playing both fields. Now, let's say it's somebody that I hate to say it might like aggression doing love making, but the partner look at that as sex. So depending on the perception of the person in the relationship, it kind of varies, but it's still interchangeable.
True.
Furthermore, Sherman, you kind of pointed out something that I think is very important. To even be making love or to even be in love, one has to love self, which would allude to what John said. Some people don't even know how to satisfy or even self-care of their own love making for themselves. They don't even know what it's like to love themselves, let alone be making love to somebody as we're saying we're making love because we're say we in love, so it just depends, man. It could be a mental, which is psychological, or it could be a physical. It just varies depending on the perception of the individual, or like Sherman said, based on what's your definition of sex, what's your definition of love. That's
True.
just my little tea for right now.
Absolutely.
Where John go? You still
Oh,
on?
hold on, hold on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was on mute. I went on mute. All right. Love
Okay.
making. Well, you know what? Before I go into mine, because
Okay.
the group did respond to this question right here. Give me a moment.
What they say? What we got? What we got?
Let's see. Need to find. Oh, okay. Let's get this connection
You had some
right.
good valid points though, Sherman. Real shit.
Yeah, I can only give my POV.
Hold on. Let's see. Oh, okay. Seal was being funny here. He said, I was in love for those 5 to 10 minutes every time. 5 out of 10 minutes. Chris says, sex is a function. It's just about meeting physical needs. Love making is about connecting with the other person. There's more than just physical. It's emotional, may even be spiritual things involved. Nadia says, to me, sex is strictly physical, while making love involves an emotional connection. Tia says, love making is a deep connection between two people that can be strong, last longer than expected, and turn into more for their lives. Sex is maybe 20 to 30 minutes of excitement that you can regret/forget, except for the negative effects of it. Samuel says, love making is a deep connection. Casual sex can't. Oh, love making is a deep connection. Casual sex can't touch. Sharon says, there is vulnerability in love making. You open yourselves to each other mentally and physically, and sex, well, you know. All right. Rain says, sex is physical contact with sexual body parts. Love making is everything I do. Love making is everything
I like that. I like that. That goes back to the intimacy. You know, everything that I do with my partner is love making for me. So it's like I see where she's coming from. So it's like saying, like, from that standpoint, all day, every day, I'm making love to my woman, or I'm making love to my man. So by the time it comes down to the intimate moment of sexual encounter or intercourse, I done made love to you all day. You hot and ready, you know?
That just taught me something, dude.
Yeah, for real.
Because individually, I think Dion may be right, in my opinion. Love making and sex probably is the same thing for those individual individual people. It may be love to them, but love making is when you connect as one, when you're trying to please the other one or trying to do what they like and they're trying to do the same. That's when it becomes a connection. So I think even separate, it's the same thing, because they both love something about that person, even though they're not connecting. But this person loves something about this person, even though they're not connecting. So it would be sex, but for them, it's still
it's still sex. But I mean, if I love you, I love you, you know. And this is just gonna be a further extension of my love through our sexual encounter. You know what I mean? But I've been making love to you all day. I cook, I clean. These are normal things that you say.
Setting things up,
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
You're setting it up.
Yeah, the build up, the intention.
All right, so there's an intent there, right? And there is an endurance aspect to this. Sex, you don't necessarily have to prepare for, but love making involves some preparation.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of like that full course meal versus the fast food joint, you know? Like it's both food, right? But it's about the quality, right? So I could see the sex being a physical act, but it's kind of hard to remove, let's say, for example, cognition. Right. So, you have a brain inside of your body, and your senses, your physical senses might be stimulated, but that's also involved in lovemaking. Right. But then with sex, it's like there's different types of sex. Right. Because it could be non-physical, you know, it could be oral, it could be anal, there's a lot of different ways to have sex. Right. So there's subsections to sex, and then there's lovemaking. Lovemaking is a bit more holistic, though. Yes. And that's why it's an art. You don't necessarily have to. I mean, in sex, I guess there's an art to sex, right?
Yeah, but I think lovemaking, what makes art is that you bring an emotion to that piece of paper, as opposed to just drunk making a tree. You're bringing that's why I love art so much, because I want to see how I interpret it. I want to see how this person interprets it, and then I want to know what the artist was thinking.
So there's depth.
Absolutely.
There's depth to it.
Absolutely. I think that's the difference between sex and lovemaking, because that post-nut clarity is a monster.
Yeah, that post-nut clarity.
I believe I would have just been better with my hand, but that's neither here nor there.
All right. Do you think, just as a I guess a sub question here, um, can we look at sex as more goal oriented than lovemaking, or do you think both actually have goals?
Yeah, separately.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think those go because his goal is to. I'm trying to get mine. Her goal is I'm trying to get mine. I think that's when it's separate. But when it's love making, I'm trying to get her, and when it's love making, she trying to get him. It's the difference.
Hmm. What you
That's just
think?
what I'm thinking.
Okay. Okay. What about you? What about you, King? Oh,
Is
you
he
there,
there?
King? Oh, wait. It looks like, yeah, I think he's frozen. I think he's frozen over there. All
Oh,
right,
okay.
all right, all right. Yeah. It looks like he's frozen over there. All right, so just following up with that, right?
Mhm.
I think both can be goal oriented and subjective at the same time. I
Yep.
think you can set a goal because I mean, all right, if we're gonna reduce sex, and I don't like to do this to
Can y'all hear?
reduce
Can
it
you hear
down
me?
to the
Yeah,
yes,
we can
yes,
hear you.
yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right, go ahead.
Um, but I think it's kind of a disservice to humanity to kind of reduce sex down to just the physical, because there is a psychological element to sex too. You know, it's like what gets
Absolutely.
you aroused in the first place to even have sex. You know,
Mental
everybody has their own
stimulation.
kink,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
like what stimulates you to get you in the mood. That's part
Yep.
of sex. That's the foreplay, right? So
Definitely.
it's like we can't just say foreplay is only for lovemaking, right? But again, I like the analogy of the cooking, right? The fast food versus the full course meal. All right, hey, you know that there's going to be dessert, there's going to be an appetizer, there's going to
Mm,
be the mains, there's the
mm,
entrees, the side dishes. You got this one,
and
and then
some
there's the
wine. Yeah.
pairing, there's the
Mm.
ambiance.
Whew,
Oh
I love
man.
Ambiance
it.
is very important too when
Yeah,
it
the
comes to
Yeah.
showcase.
cooking.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
presentation. So
Yes,
that's the art
sir.
of it. There's more care. There's more.
There's more
I
to
get
it.
you're more meticulous, right? You're more intentional, and
Yeah.
you're also trying to send these little messages. So before you even start dinner, it could be, "Hey, I'm making these announcements about what's going to be on dinner, just to get the brain primed. Like, oh my gosh, I
Mm-hmm.
can't wait. Oh man, and then the dessert is going to be what? Oh man." So I think that's another part of it is the foreplay, the teasing, right? But that could be involved in sex too, right? And then I want to highlight the distinctions of the objectivity and the subjectivity when it comes to sex and making, right?
Ooh,
So a lot of the times we can be very objective with sex, as in I'm trying to achieve this orgasm, I'm trying to bust this nut, or I want her to. That's the goal. The end. I know we're finished when this happens. That's the
yep. I'm
objective.
trying to climax. I'm trying to
Yeah.
squirt. All that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have this one thing in mind. I don't care about nothing else, but that's goal, right? That's objectivity.
Yeah.
But with love
Yeah.
making, a lot of the times it's not very objective. Not very. It's very subjective in the sense that you're trying to create an entire experience. You don't necessarily have a goal, but you have all these sub goals and maybe this overall goal, but you're really just trying to create an experience. I want you to feel something, or I want you to feel something more intensely. And I want to do it with this technique right here. I think also there's elements in which you really see the person for who they are. So this was the part that me and the wife was talking about. In our community, we push sex very heavily, right? In our music,
Yes.
in our
Yes, we
culture.
do.
And that influences the way that we represent sex, how we see sex, how we even see lovemaking, right? So when you are objectifying, aka it's BBLs, it's BBCs, it's BBWs, these categories, these are things. This isn't even the full human being. And we're objectifying and we're having a relationship with those objects. You don't even see the person. You really don't have to respect them. So here it is. You're looking at this black person as a commodity. We're already doing that outside of porn. We're already doing this. Hey, when I look at her, this is what I see. I break her down into these parts, these lips, these breasts, this ass. And then when a woman could look at this guy, okay, he's this tall and he's got these abs and he's got this dick and he's got,
Shoulders.
we're breaking them down, right? So the objectivity can lead us to disrespect the human being and not really see them as fully realized, not see them for who they are. And that can get missed in the whole thing. But then in lovemaking, there's a hefty amount of consideration for your partner, because you're like, all right, I really want to cater to them. I want to dine them. I want to wine them. I want them to feel special. I want to elevate them. I'm going to be speaking affirmations to them. I'm not going to be, talking down on them or desecrating them. There's a certain level of respect that you give in lovemaking. There's principles involved in lovemaking, right? So I noticed that in our culture, we don't celebrate those elements as much. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say something. Everything he said was so beautiful. Beautiful. It was beautiful. But unfortunately, like you say, in our culture, that ain't what they really want. It just sound good in the mind. It just sound good in the mind, but they ain't really want. You're boring.
It sounds kind of old school, doesn't it? Like it sounds like, it's like lovemaking kind of is associated with the songs that we made. And so it's not to say that we don't make songs about love. We still make songs about love in our culture, in hip hop and in R&B and in soul, right? So it's different textures, different flavors, right? We're talking about heartbreak. We're talking about love making. The language might have changed a little bit. Some of the style has definitely changed, right?
Yeah.
And then the content has changed a lot. Back in the day, it used to be a bit more ambiguous, a lot more vague, a lot of innuendos in which we communicated our, sensuality and such. It was kind of out there. It was just like, it's the tease, it's, I'm going to say something to you to make you think, but you also know the energy. You also know the underlying theme. You know what I'm talking about, girl. When I talk like this, you know what time. And there's the tone, there's the ambiance, it's the sound. It's not that we don't do that this day. We don't necessarily have like this rebellion against lovemaking, but sometimes it seems like it's a bit scarce. It seems like it's not as prevalent. But I also understand that when you think of something like the art of lovemaking, that doesn't sound like it's game that you give out for free either, does it? Because you think about. Go ahead.
I think most of it is the fact that back then you had to talk up on it. You had to talk your way into it. You had to really have wordplay, because it was the wordplay that stimulated the mind.
Yeah.
Girl, he said. And you got some women that'll do the same thing. They'll say some stuff that'll blow your mind. You be like, wait, what? What'd she say? Run that back? Say that one more time. Yeah, but now, oh man, look at them shoes he got on. Look at that Fendi belt he got on. Look at them glasses he got on.
Money
look what
makes
car
me
he
come,
drive.
all that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
So
it has changed dramatically. But you still have those that seek after being what they say, woo it. Am I saying it correctly?
I don't know.
To be wooed. There it is, to be wooed, which basically is I'm making love to you the whole entire time that I'm with you without even touching you. It's my grace, my presence. It's my demeanor. It's my voice. It's my characteristics. It's how I cater to you. It's how I pay attention to detail. All of that whole entire time, you brewing. And this is for either sex. You just brewing up, and it be like, man, everything she does or he does, it just turns me on. I'm ready right now. All you gotta do is just take it. All she has to do is just take it. All she gotta do is say the word, But like you said, John, I don't think it's like that no more, because everybody is looking for it as a transactional situation.
Yeah, that's what.
Quick fix.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
definitely a quick fix.
yeah. Instant.
I
We're looking for those instant
came back
rewards.
just for that.
Say again?
That's it. Everything is transact. So speaking just for the generation that's maybe slightly behind y'all. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
This dude is in my way.
And, okay.
I can't
Speaking
even
for
go
the
around
speaking for
him.
my generation, everything is transactional.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. It doesn't matter unless it's tangible, unless I can see it, unless I can feel it, unless I can touch it. None of that matters unless it's transactional. Because real love ain't so much a thing anymore. It just has to be seen. You could say a couple of things and get them, and she can do a couple of things and get you. That's cool. But it really it's a castle built on salt and sand. It has
Ooh.
no foundation. No cement is
Mm.
ever paved. No game plan is ever talked about. You have no reason to build with each other. Y'all just dealing with each other to the fun stops. That's how it goes as of now, and that's majority. You know, I don't speak in absolutes, but that's the majority. Look at that. I'm gonna drop this off. I'll be right back.
Okay. Let's move on to the next question. Do we
Yes, sir.
have open, healthy conversations about sex and pleasure in our relationships, or do we avoid them out of discomfort? I think this is a very important question because, again, we're talking about your sexual education. Your school, for the most part, taught you the technical stuff, if you were fortunate. Your parents probably reinforced a few things, but didn't really dive in too deep. They probably cautioned you about a few things, but they didn't really teach you anything. And so there becomes the question of, well, when you're a teenager, where do you get your education from? Where do you get your information from? Where do you learn what to do and what not to do? Where are you getting this from? And the majority of us are probably looking at porn. We're looking at Pornhub. We're watching somebody else do it, right? And so
Hmm.
you have to wonder what kind of effect that has on a generation between genders, um, hetero or homo. What effects that has on the relationships where the individual who consumes, and this is consumption, okay? You're not necessarily learning per se, but you're consuming it, and then you're like, oh, okay, I think I can imitate a few things. For the most part, those of us who are experienced in watching porn, we know that it's not really reliable as a educational tool because there's a lot of fabrication, right? A lot of it's not real, a lot of it's set up. And this goes back to a conversation I was having with the wife, right? What if we were in a society, a healthy society, where around your adolescence years, you learn the art of lovemaking. So you're taking official courses, right? But these are not perverted. You know, I think that's the reason why we don't have these courses, I guess, in public view, because we don't have a healthy concept of sex in our society. It's one of those things where it's like it's very much in front of us, but there's a certain level of stigma and shame around it. It's like you could talk about it, but you can't talk about it too much. And then when you do talk about it, you're not talking about it from a healthy perspective or a mature state of mind. You're talking about it like you really don't know anything, or you got some secondhand information.
Mm.
And so here it is. We have this this disparity between men and women, where women feel like, all right, men are not really pleasing women, and men are getting all the pleasure. But it's all in the programming, it's all in the education and the motivation. What are these guys learning when they grow up? What are they learning about sex? What are the messages that we're receiving? You know, and what are we doing as a society to correct those? Fathers, are you talking to your sons about sex in a very healthy way? Are you just covering like the basics, like, all right, hey, strap up, stay away, hey, stay away from these type of women, don't have baby. Like, are we just covering our asses, or are we really interested in ensuring that our children are somewhat successful, or at least well informed to have healthy sex lives? So what do you think, bro? Did you have any open, healthy conversations about sex and pleasure as you were growing up?
Nope. None, nada. But I
Why
did
do you think?
have sex education 1 and 2 though.
Oh, why do you think that is though? Why do you think that it wasn't talked about as much when you were younger?
Um,
Uh-oh. Hold on, King. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't picking up any of your sound just then. You said
okay.
so. The last thing I heard was well.
Oh, last thing you heard was well.
Dang. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think, my opinion, I think that not being properly introduced to sex, because it could be that the parent is trying to protect you, and then also, how do I sit down and tell you, quote unquote, about the birds and the bees? How do I make this a comfortable subject when my experience of this wasn't a comfortable one? You never know what your parents went through as
Mm,
a child growing up. You don't know if they was molested growing up, so therefore they not even properly informed, let alone want to go get better understanding of sex, period. Between male, female, or same sex, however. You're shy away from it, and it does become uncomfortable conversation to even have with your children. So,
mm. All right.
um,
So language. So they didn't have.
there
You
you
don't
go.
think they had the language to? Ooh, yeah. That is major, isn't it? Like, how do you?
Yes,
Yeah. I
sir.
mean, how do you express to some? Ooh, yeah, man. Because what if you had? Yeah, if you had to teach that, if you had to teach a class or a course on how to have sex, make love, what language would you use to convey that? Like, how do you set that up? And
Mm,
yeah, if we're honest, a lot of us are not well taught in that. Like, no one taught us. So why am I going to be teaching somebody something that's so
exactly.
private? I think that's probably another enticing idea is, well, John, like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to walk my daughter step by step on how to perform this technique or how to move like this or how to find her groove or what to, am I
Exactly.
going to, with my daughter, with my child, I'm going to do that. And I can understand that idea. It's like, dang, yeah, that's uncomfortable. But again, why? Why is that uncomfortable? Why is it uncomfortable to have that conversation with your child? Right? You can say, stay away from these things, but you can't give them something that's affirmative. Like, hey, let me give you some tips because, I want you to be married or in your monogamy, your form of monogamy, I want you to be successful. I want you to be a successful lover. I don't want you to just have a sexual prowess and a sexual magnetism. Like there's so much instruction on how to attract people, to look good, to look delicious enough to want to have sex with, to want to fuck. We have the art of that. We're really good at
Right.
that. Hey, I can
Right.
look good enough to want to fuck. But the actual sex, the actual acts, stay away from that. Do you even come up with material to share with your children? If you're not even going to teach them, do we even provide the service of research to say, hey, listen, I can't tell you step by step how to make love to your woman, to your husband, but read these books right here or watch these
Yeah.
videos right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And when
The
when
library helps out a whole lot. Yes,
right?
it does.
And there is a technical way. I really don't think we educate ourselves up to a point where we're comfortable enough to research that too. I think there's a certain level of pride that comes with researching lovemaking, researching how to have sex. There's a certain level of pride that blinds us from even going to look. It's like, all right, I got what I needed to get back in high school. And then I probably went to college, vocational school, the military. And then I just started, fooling around. I had my whole phase and then I got married. but I never followed up or continued my sexual education. I just developed my sexual philosophy along the way. And that could be a very dangerous thing, because what if, oh girl, she's 18, she lost her virginity at 19, never had an orgasm because she never learned the language to convey her needs, her sexual needs, her preferences. Um, Even more so, wasn't given the environment in which she could have the conversation in a mature way. And I know, guys, when we're young and we're young-minded, anytime we talk about sex, we mess it up, because
That's true.
it's like it's this thing that you want so bad that it's you want it so bad that it's always on your mind, right? And you keep feeding that instinct, you keep feeding that desire, that mindset, and it kind of escapes you. You even go to a point of desperation almost, because it's such a desirable experience that you don't take the proper measures to approach it with a sense of intentionality, a sense of grace, a sense of respect. To be like, all right, we're gonna do this thing, but I just first need to see this person as a full human being. I need to respect the fact that there's going to be some things that they don't like, and I need to be teachable. That they're going to be communicating to me what they like to feel, what they
Right.
want to see, what they're into, and I have to compromise. And I think that part right there, a lot of us don't learn how to do that. We don't learn how to compromise when it comes to sex and lovemaking. Personally, open, healthy conversations about sex coming up, no. I got a good chunk of my sexual education from high school, and then it was pornography. It was fetishizing. I didn't know any of the terms. I didn't even know that sexual philosophy was a thing until my 30s.
Mm.
Like, what? John, what is a sexual philosophy? It's how you view sex. What are your
Right.
values when it comes to sex? Your sexual identity, your sexual orientation. Who are you when you're behind closed doors or when you're in the back seat? Are you more adventurous when it comes to your sex? Or are you very demure and very conservative? Is your sexual experiences tainted with religiosity? Because religion plays a role. Matter of fact, you know what?
Religion does play a major role in it, and part of that is holding your chastity until the day you get married.
Ooh. Mm.
But even with that, we're still finding ourselves not even knowing ourselves.
Mm.
So even if you do save your chastity to the wedding night, what if you be like, I don't like this? You might throw the whole marriage out the window.
But you're supposed to work on it, right? That's the primary assumption.
Now you're talking about doing what it takes as being man and woman in a marriage or in a relationship. What you're saying is, let us sit down and let's talk about this. So now we have to get completely mentally naked, so where we can expose each other of our uncertainties or things that we haven't even probably been educated on. Now we got to take this together and merge our understanding so we come full circle to what we need to understand so this could be successful. And that could be a little difficult. Like you say, you got pride in a way. Like, I'm sure I ain't finna tell them that. I ain't gonna, so it could be difficult. It could be challenging. And that one word that we all like to play with every now and then, it can make you kind of afraid, fearful of just letting your guard down to the person that you say you want to commit yourself to or open up to sexually.
Absolutely.
And peace,
well,
brother, you back?
I'm back for a nice little
that's
second.
what's up.
Just to when it goes back to sexual education, for me, there was none. There was no sexual education one, and that was it. And that was in middle school. Everything else definitely came from pornography, fetishes and stuff like that. Just learning just same thing, same path. And I had to figure out what it meant for me. You out there fighting on your own, because you kind of hear about everybody else doing it, even if they not. You kind of see everybody else doing it, even if you don't. You just want to be. It's more so you want to be a part of these things. It's not about knowing pretty much. I mean, it's about knowing what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to do it. You just want to see what the hype is about. It's kind of like telling me, because if I've never seen gold and I hear about how amazing gold is, it doesn't matter what you tell me about it. I still want to do it. I'm going in, no hat, skinny dipping, swimming in the water, baby.
Forget the manual. Forget a book.
Forget the manual. I got this surfboard. That's all I need.
I'll read it later. I can read the instructions later. Okay. Research later. Get experience first.
Exactly. And that's not the way to go. We need a lot more open conversation about this, because that's a delicate thing. And especially for men, if you choose the wrong one, that's a detriment for at least 18 to 25 years of your life. And we're not talking about the hardships that come from the hard habits of your kid that will affect you. This is life-changing. And those 5 minutes, or even 5 seconds can change the entirety of the trajectory of your life. Because you could have wanted to be in Arizona, but you can't, because you got your son here or you got your daughter here, and you need to see something. You need to talk to them face to face. It's a lot of things that can change.
All right, so let's transition over into this question right here. Have we inherited sexual shame or repression from religious, familial, or societal expectations within the Black community? This one kind of stems from last week, right? It was the part about the shame, right? Robert was talking about how, and this wasn't a blame towards women. He was just describing the causes as to why you have Black men kind of taking their experiences and relocating, right? It's it was the shame aspect, right? And that one made me light up, because I'm like, yo, there is quite a bit of shame surrounding sex. Like, he was identifying that, okay, two women could be kissing and, they can make out, whatever, right? Eat each other out, whatever they're going to do, right? Use dildos on each other, and that just be an experience. That doesn't change their sexual identity. But a man performs one act, and that changes his whole sexual identity. So it's those type of ideas, right? Those are not sexual ideas per se, right? All that is just you're shaming. And so even before you've had sex, there's a certain level of shame around behaviors, around activities. Like, okay, if you and your partner wants to swing, there's shame around that. If you like to have sex with women that dress up as anime characters, there's shame around that. It's the kinky stuff. And it's like, there's a reason why it's a kink. There's a reason why it is the way that it is. And here it is, you're with somebody that you're going to be married to for the rest of your life. But because of some of your social or religious ideas surrounding sex, you guys cannot fully be liberated in sex with each other. So even if you did it right, you waited until marriage, there's still a certain level of shame surrounding sex to where you can't do everything that you really want to do. Like, you want to have fun while you're having sex. This is your partner for life. Like, yo, you crossed over. You have the freedom now because it's your bedroom. But you're afraid to try new things with each other because, oh, I think they're going to think this way about me. And maybe they will. Maybe they will. But this is what I'm saying about the conversation. Before you guys get married, why aren't you having those conversations? Is it shame? Is it, oh, well, you know what? All we need is love. That's a little naive, right? It's just preparation. It's to see if there's compatibility, sexual compatibility.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah. I can't tell you I like you to lick my elbow right before I come. I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying?
or
You
the
gonna talk
names.
crazy about me then,
It's
huh?
it's like, yo, is there certain names that you want, like certain name, like certain things you want me to say? Is there a certain voice? Like, man,
Right.
if you really pull away from the Western ideals of sex and really just deprogram yourself and really appreciate, I mean, really appreciate your spouse, your girl, your person, right? It's their skin tone, the way that they smell, the way that they smile. I'm talking details. Suddenly, sex becomes art. It's because of the appreciation. It's just like, all right, again, when you're eating food, right? And you close your eyes and you're feeling textures, you're like, oh, I taste this oregano in here. Oh man, the sauce is a little bit too thick. You're feeling it out. Like you're having an experience in your mouth and including your nose, right? Because there's smell involved. So here it is. You're appreciating, breaking everything down. How does it feel? How does it taste? The rhythm. You're doing that with sex, right? But you have this religious shame that shrinks your consciousness. You can't think about sex in a healthy way because you've been told that so much is off limits. You're afraid of doing the wrong thing, or you're afraid that God is going to look at you a certain way in your own bedroom, where that's the most permissive place and it's the most private place. Like you don't even have to share your experience, but you're afraid to talk about what you like and say, hey, this is why I like this. You know, hey, I like this position. Why do you like this position? I don't know. I just do. Well, hey, you know what? As your partner, I think it's worth figuring that out. What's the features? Like, just tell me. We can do it right now. You could talk to me. We don't have to like simulate. You know, there's the education. It's about knowing yourself. You're gonna put the responsibility of pleasure on another human being, but you're not gonna take any responsibility for your own pleasure. You're just going to put it on another person. You get out this relationship and then you got to start over. All that knowledge lost with that other person, and you have to start all the way over, sharing again. But if you don't take the time out to learn what you like, what pleases you, what stimulates you, what gets you to that point, or to even explore and try new things, if you just say, oh, okay, I can only do these things, not knowing, it's just ignorance. You really,
Question.
oh, answer.
So, to even explore, are we saying explore and become sexually involved with ourselves, or
Yeah.
create an experience with someone else and try to feel my way through this to see what I like or maybe don't like?
Both. Both.
Oh, okay, now, so with both being said, how am I supposed to do this if, and only
Mm.
if, I'm trying to have a religion, or better yet, a spiritual experience with God? Should I even
Mm.
be thinking about sex?
Ooh. Can you invite God into the bedroom?
I'm
I
I'm,
think
I'm asking. I'm
I
asking
think I think some people are afraid of that thought. Like
because
how dare I invite God into my, oh, this is sex, like as if everything you're doing is sexually immoral. All right, I'm gonna invite God in the bedroom while I'm giving head. I'm gonna invite God in the bedroom while I'm sucking on her breast. I'm gonna invite God in the bedroom while I'm calling her all of these crazy names. And she's moaning like this and screaming like this, and I'm smacking her with this whip or I'm choking. I'm gonna invite God in on all of that.
well, I mean, let's be honest. If God created it for just, I'm just saying, if God created only for to be fruitful and multiply and not necessarily be for pleasure, because we've been told that these particular things that enhances our pleasure and experience are animalistic bestiality in nature.
Mm.
So how do we really do that if we trying to invite God into the bedroom? Are we really supposed to be doing this procreating? It wasn't even supposed to be an event. I come in here, and like you said, anywhere from 30 seconds, maybe 5 minutes, we should be harvesting another baby. That's all we doing. We planting seeds. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Matter of fact,
So,
it was a science to it.
mm,
It was a science to it. Literally. How far have we gone away from the original of what it was actually meant to be? Which is just create. Which is really the whole cycle of life. You want to live forever? Legacy. Children.
mm-hmm.
Pass down your knowledge. Be fruitful.
Yeah. So love
We to the
making was
point,
more of a evolution, it sounds like that
to a
came
degree,
later.
yes.
Mm.
Yes. Because now we have it to the point, don't nobody want to have sex in fear of having children.
Mm. Mm. I mean, that seems pretty reasonable, though, right? I mean, some people have looked at the economy, they look at the state of the world, and they say, I'm not going to be irresponsible and bring a child into all of this. So I can have the act of sex, but I can't bring a child into this. Uh-oh.
It was pleasure. That's not what it was really originally created for. Had nothing to do with
But
your
I mean,
pleasure.
but nature made it pleasurable, though. Nature makes sex pleasurable.
Show me.
Why is it gotta
Show
feel
me
so
in nature where
good?
it's pleasurable.
Yeah, but like, yeah,
Man,
that,
the only thing was
because
to
look,
release these seeds
think about the nerve
so they
endings,
can be
right?
planted.
Think about the
Yeah,
nerve
that's true.
endings, bro. Think about those nerve endings. Why are there so many nerve endings at these pleasure points? Right? And these are sexual organs we're talking about that have these nerve endings connected to each other. And so the right amount of friction leads to this event where, oh man, not only is it orgasmic from an experiential point of view, but I'm also procreating. I'm about to, pass on some life, some DNA at the same time. And so there's a motivation already like built into the act of sex. If I
Yeah, that's just one of the benefits of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of it. But it's only for the act of procreation. It wasn't
At
even
an
meant for
at
it
an
to be
animal
like-
level, yeah. Okay, at an animal
Well, aren't
level.
we animal in nature? Aren't we animal
Yes.
in nature?
Yeah. We're part of the animal kingdom, sure. Yeah, and yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, nature is also creative, though, man. She's very creative. To be able to take something that's designed to be this way, and then we innovate it and say, okay, hey, I'm not even going to procreate with this. I'm just going to play around with the senses. I'm going to start cooking with the senses.
Right. So I'm glad you brought up that. So let me throw this at you. So we dealing with the Black Widow. She kills everything she mates.
Mm-hmm.
That's not pleasurable.
Right.
And his sole objective is that he just want his legacy to go on. He goes into it with the understanding, I'm gonna die behind this.
Right, but I mean, okay, so let's consider for a moment. Let's consider for a moment. We're talking about two organisms that have two different systems in which they're procreating, right? So, in one hand, we got spiders that lay eggs. We're not laying eggs, and so
we're not.
The process of insemination is a bit different for humans. I mean, you motivate humans to procreate with the visual stimuli, for example. Spiders, they don't need no visual stimuli. They don't need to be warmed up or primed for that, right? Beauty even becomes an aspect of procreation. Beauty becomes an aspect of procreation in several animals in the animal kingdom, right? So now we've evolved to mating tactics, right? But the idea is, all right, what do I have to do to seduce you, convince you, persuade you to join me in this dance right here so that we can produce another us? It's like we got to convince each other to do this. Like, hey, I don't know if you're a good fit, but let me.
Yeah, I like where you're going with this. We still on the subject of of love making through the day
Mm-hmm.
and doing things to arouse, bring a person to even want to have sex. It's a lot of things that happen in the animal kingdom that we do as people, and it's pretty much the same thing. Men to
Mm-hmm.
so we can look. We do try to bust our ass to go get a job so that way we are financially fit to entertain the idea of quote unquote dating. We do try to make sure that we have a certain mannerism, whether it's a thug or Ivy League.
Mm.
We do a lot of things to put on a show, and all we try to do is bust a nut. Uh-oh, what happened?
I think that's Sherman coming back in. Yeah.
Oh, he popped out. Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's
So
back in
I
the
mean,
room.
I'm
He's
just
back in.
saying, on both sides of it, like you said, there's an art to it, in some way, form, or fashion. There's an art. Like they even have birds that do little dances, and they compete against each
Mm-hmm.
other in order to win the female bird. They actually compete. They have a dance off. That's crazy. That's crazy. Can you imagine human beings, men, having a dance off?
Having it, I mean, hey, but it's already been cataloged though. It's been cataloged. Certain tribes, certain peoples. I mean, I can't call them off the top of my head,
Oh
but I've seen
yeah,
it
yeah.
before.
You
You know,
definitely
yeah,
right.
having
You
certain
definitely right.
ceremonial dances. You know, it's part of a subculture. You dance off. The women are over there looking at the men dance. The men are looking at the women dance. So you just kind of eyeing your prize, like, ooh, I like that one over there. Yeah, that one with the curves right there. Yeah, the dark one. Mm-hmm. Short. Yeah, I like them like that. Look at how she's moving. Oh, the way that she's dancing, she's conveying that she knows how to move in the bedroom. She's communicating her sexual prowess, and it's making me interested. You know, so yeah, there's this dance, there's this level of communication where it's where you're saying, "Hey, this is what I want to do, but do you want to do it too?" Right? And so sometimes that communication can be very fast. Again, the art of lovemaking is about making that conversation a long one. It's a long conversation versus sex where it's just like, hey, let's talk. It's like, talk about what? Let's just talk.
Do they really say that much?
Small talk,
Small
small
talk,
talk,
straight to the point.
straight to the point, right?
Man,
Mundane, right? But there's again, for some people, there's a simple appreciation for it. It's like, yo, I just like the simplicity of it. We get down to business, and then I move about my day, and I can just, hey, I got a memory right there. Like, oh man, that happened. That's exciting for me,
yeah.
right? But with love making, there's a depth to it. It's in the morning, you wake up and you're cuddling and you're kissing and you're a little bit of foreplay. You kind of get there and then you're like, oh, we got to go to work. And then it's like you built up some anticipation, some
Some
excitement, and
anticipation. Yes, sir.
right.
Yes,
And
sir.
you both of you are in the bathroom smiling. You're going to work. You feel great because you just had that episode. And so it goes throughout the day. And then, you send a little text message because we're in that technological era now. You send a text message and maybe it's a nude, maybe it's a little shot, maybe it's I feel like doing this. Hey, you remember that night when a memory, right? And building up more anticipation. Oh man, I'm really
More
excited. Now I was
anticipation.
already in a good mood, right? And these are just words and it's pictures and it's, hey, you want to go out to lunch? Oh, you're requesting my presence. Okay, that feels good. That feels very affirming. You go out, you eat a good meal, and you just have good conversation. Very stimulating. You're not even talking about politics. You're not arguing. You go back to work. You get home, do a little bit more
We
foreplay. Maybe you
we
pay the
leaving out
bill.
one thing though, Scott Walker. We're leaving out one thing, one small
Oh,
thing, and I think you're gonna really agree to this.
hmm?
We understand para bonding, right?
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Do we understand that? If we don't,
Hmm?
let's can we jump in it for a second, real quick?
Yeah, yeah. Shoot it.
Have you ever came across somebody you don't know why you keep looking at them? or why it seems some way, somehow you get drawn to them, whether it's the workplace, whether it's at a family function and just somebody happen to invite a friend of a friend of a friend, or you just happen to be out, or you came across this person more than once in life. They be like, how is it possible that I keep encountering this person? Or better yet, what if, strangely, oddly enough, you find yourself being aroused to someone, and you feel like there's no attraction there because it's not what you like or what you would consider to be attractive to you versus, based off of your visual aesthetics looking. But for whatever reason, you get around this person, you get chills, you really can't breathe for real, fluttering heart, sweaty palms. They were like, man, I can't stand him or her. But you ain't understanding why the temperature in the room, the air gets really thin. You can't even put your words together, formulate a sentence. That's that chemical bonding. Sometimes we confuse chemical bonding as being in love as well. Don't even go together, thinking that we're supposed to be together. Chemically, we mix. Relationship, we ain't shit. We bad for one another. We done created habits in life and through our experiences that we really damaging each other. But don't get me wrong, great sex. Whenever I'm around you, I do lose my breath. You do take my sensitivity levels to a heightened level that I ain't never been with nobody else. But you bad with money. I don't know how to take care of home front. I'm bad with bills. I'm forever late to work. I really don't have a foundation on what I got going on or a feel for my own life. Still trying to work on the things that I feel like I'm scarred from as a child. But yet, whenever I'm around you, it just feels good that we are next to each other together, and sex is great. It's amazing. But we don't belong together at all. Yeah, that chemical bonding, I experienced that twice in my life. That could be some real scary stuff, man. You just can't shake them. You gotta have them. And it's not even sexually. You just gotta have them. You gotta be around them. You gotta see them, touch them, talk to them. And it's man. And you get a high off of it. You get sweat beads down your back. You get chill bumps. The hair on your arm stands up. The hair on your neck even stand up. But y'all just bad for each other. Real bad for each other. It's crazy. I'm sorry, I was sharing a little bit of an experience.
Yeah, well, it's all good. It's all good. And I know we're all right. So I know we got this question right here, but we're pretty much up on our hour, right? So I'm just gonna post this last question. Hey, Sherman, are you still there? Hold on. Let me see. You still there, Sherman? Mic check. Sherman. No? All right. So I'm gonna throw this up here real quick. Since we're pretty much at our hour, what can we do to resurrect lovemaking? What can we do? I know right off top, and a lot, just to give our viewers a clue, we've been talking about a lot of it throughout, right? One of them is let's reframe how we see sex, and I'm very guilty of this, but there's a lot of performance anxiety that comes with lovemaking and sex, right? And that's mainly because there is a goal. When you have a orientation in sex to a goal, there's more emphasis on the performance, kind of like, with Kendrick's Super Bowl halftime special. It was more so about, hey, he didn't deliver, he didn't perform right. Let's just miss all the messaging. You didn't deliver correctly. Let's not look at ourselves and say, hey, maybe my communication skills, maybe my comprehension skills are lackluster. Maybe I need to rethink how I look at sex. Maybe some of my ideas are wrong. Um, I also understand that it's a little bit of hustle culture. We don't have a whole lot of time. Love making does require a lot of focus, preparation. You got to have some prep time, like Batman. And so typically you would prioritize some emotional intimacy, not just physical. You would prioritize some emotional intimacy. It's things like, expressing appreciation. Like, I really want you to think, isn't it a lot harder to have sex when you're not in the mood? When you don't really want to, you don't really feel good about yourself. Your
That's when I
self-esteem
get
is
my
low.
best performance.
Up, up. When you don't feel good about yourself.
When you don't feel good, because now I'm competing with myself.
Oh, snap. It's competitive up here.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the main things at that particular point, you got to switch out. Is this about me or about them? Because if it's about me, I'm being selfish. But if I want to be selfless and be of service, I'm just going to focus on making sure I'm pleasing them.
Okay. Emotional closeness. I also think something that we didn't really get a chance to really dive into is the healing aspect, right? This
Ooh.
shame, there's a lot of shame that we've been conditioned, largely cultural, religious, some of it's social. Um, we need to look at some of these ideas again. Talking to my wife about some of this. We've been talking about fantasies for the past couple of weeks, right? And I've been telling her, I was like, 10 years ago, I was such a horn dog. Like, just my mind, it's just so heavily perverted. It was very, very perverted, but you wouldn't know because I didn't express those thoughts outwardly, right? But it kind of spilled over. But the perversions started to fade away when I started challenging some of my fantasies, right? It's certain ones that just didn't make sense anymore because my values had changed, right? So it'll be
Mm.
things like, all right, let's just say, for example,
Evolving cortex.
I mean, yeah, but it's just like certain fantasies just don't make sense anymore. It's like, all right, let's say, for example, the maid, right? It's like, why would that happen? My mind starts thinking logically, like, how with porn, there's setups. You got to set the stage for why this is happening. Why is this act happening? Why are they having sex? Oh, they're stepbrother and stepsister. Oh, okay,
That
they're
shit crazy.
Boston. They're
Yeah.
Boston employee, or she stole something from the store, or you got to set up these scenarios, these fantasies, right? And we entertain the fantasies, we play a part in them. You make up your own. But me and the wife was talking about how there's certain fantasies you never really want to act out. They remain fantasies, and it's like, but why is that, right? And it's because the fantasy is not the goal. The fantasy is just a stimulator, right? The goal is the orgasm, or the
Yeah.
goal is to
Contribute.
have this experience, but I'm just using this fantasy to get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having that conversation like, yo, certain fantasies that we have, we don't let them joints go, and they manifest in our attitudes about the opposite gender. Oh, hold on.
Definitely.
Here we go. Okay. Good, bro? Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So let me bring it back around, right? So yeah, I think one thing that we can do to resurrect lovemaking is to heal some of our sexual shame, heal some of our sexual misinformation, challenge some of our sexual ideas. Hey, why am I holding this
Childhood
idea?
traumas.
Addressing
Childhood
those with
traumas. Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah. Therapy. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Getting a proper sexual education, right? Like, hey, it ain't nothing wrong with reading books. Ain't nothing wrong with watching a YouTube video, or like there are
Right.
resources out there. We just gotta look for them. Unfortunately, I didn't do my due diligence today by providing those resources. I got some, but I didn't provide them today. But yeah, and then I think also what I'm gonna come back to is, again, last week, creating that nurturing, safe space to A, have the conversation about sex, and B, to explore sex with your partner. It's like, all right, when you go on a date, you don't know anything about this person. And so the date serves as the vehicle in which you get to learn yourself and the other person. So why wouldn't you want to create a very conducive environment for that reason, to gain some sexual knowledge about yourself and the other person, or to share some sexual knowledge? You know? So sure, what can we do to resurrect lovemaking, in your opinion, in your view?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, beautiful. What can we do to resurrect lovemaking? Shit, we got to start from the ground up. I build a foundation. Know where you're going with it. Don't just, because everything has a meaning.
Mhm.
Nothing that you do is meaningless. I don't personally think it's never just about getting anything off. Well, at least it shouldn't be. We should take that very seriously, because it's a sharing of energy, and whether you like it or not, that person stays with you forever. Even though it's a notch on your belt, that's in your spirit.
DNA swapping, baby. DNA swapping.
Especially on the woman. On our end, it's good to have a lot more experience, and on the opposite end, it's good to give something pure. So it's definitely the yin and the yang. So
Facts.
I think we need to, we gotta build up.
Can you engage in love making if you haven't loved yourself?
Absolutely not.
Ooh,
I don't believe so at all.
I don't see that at all.
Yeah, I think you're just acting.
I don't see it at all.
You're just
acting.
Chasing a fallacy.
You just act. Oh, so you pretending out here.
Absolutely.
Yikes.
That's
so you might have the
is.
facade. You might do everything from a technical standpoint.
Exactly. Everything that you've seen, you just act on, and can't nobody tell you, because you can't tell a crazy person that they're crazy.
I got one for you. You basically masking an emotion.
That's how you doing.
Masking it, and the reason why I say that, most of the times we do stuff to replicate a past experience that we thought was a great experience, and not knowing this could be a horrible experience for the person that we're encountering.
Exactly. Because you're not learning that person, you just acting on what you did. That's like being
what you did with somebody else.
Exactly. Because you gotta be my girlfriend. I don't want you to be the girlfriend that you were to him. I want you to be my girlfriend. So you have to form yourself to me, just like I have to form myself to you.
Yep.
So it's all an energy exchange, and I don't.
Yep.
And misplaced energy, it could tear you down for much longer than you think.
Yeah.
Things that you think you over, they can come back and bite you. It's in the worst situations, in a different scenario, and in something that you may think is better. So figure that shit out before you move forward.
Yeah, I would say to raise lovemaking, let's sit down first and foremost. Like Skywalker said, we need to have a talk. We have to strip ourselves of everything that we had learned from previous relationships, and let's learn each other. One significant thing that I took from last week's podcast is that you want to put each other on notice. Hey, let's go get tested together. Let's start there. Sherman, that will be our foundation. That will be our foundation. Yeah, they're our foundation right there. We starting with a clean, supposed slate now. Now we know where we stand as individuals. We know where we stand. So if I do want to become explicit with you, I know what level I can take it to, being the fact that we just found, no, we just went about getting our status. We know what our foundation is.
That's a beautiful thing.
Man, for
I
real
like
though,
that.
we know what our foundation is. Now
And
the
you can build
communication
everything off
part, yeah, that's I'm just finna say. Now from that understanding, we can come into communication, which would be part of our culture. And that's basically that, hey, I need to know what you like and dislike. And on top of that, what are your expectations of me? So I can at least see if I'm able to fulfill them. That's vice versa. That's very important. Family, we ain't talking enough. We ain't having enough communication. We ain't having enough sitting down. We have too many distractions. We have too many things, like you say, porn, that is miseducating us on what it's like to be with the new person, with this new individual, with their understanding. We're too busy being subjective and not objective, so we can get to the absolute. We got to do the work.
But there's also character, right? There's also character, because you got to, like, all right, so to learn another human being in terms of their sexual needs and preferences, you got to be humble, right? You have to be curious to even ask the questions of, okay, am I going fast enough? Am I moving slow enough? What does it take to turn you on? And is there a window?
Patience.
How do I recognize, like, do you like to initiate? How do I communicate to you that I want to be touched and felt on? If I
do your homework,
don't see you, or, you know, like, you have to have the language in order to convey these feelings and these thoughts.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I know that one other variable to this is developing our sexual communication. And it has to be beyond vulgar. It has to be beyond just the words of vulgarity. It's things like, you know, and I get this. I get how unexciting this can be, because you have to be very patient. But again, this is why I'm saying the character involved in the motivation and the commitment to sexual education, communication, sexual understanding, developing your sexual philosophy, developing the art of lovemaking. You have to be humble. And I know that a lot of us like to carry that chip on our shoulder that we know what we're doing. We don't want to come off as sexually incompetent, because there's shame around that.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're doing. You have to. There is no learning. And so that's the part. That's the part is, can you even teach love making anymore? Can you even teach that? Because again, it seems like one of those, it seems like grandma's recipe, right? Recipes ain't getting passed down. They dine with grandma. I mean, who's getting in the kitchen with them? So love making, if it's an art, it's like, how do you teach that? How do you pass that down? You
That's
just figure it out.
Kept coming home.
Or is it like, it just makes you wonder if no one was like giving these classes back then, but it just seemed like so many of our people were making love back then. It makes you wonder, like, how does that get around, unless you're just simply in the consciousness of love and you're just expressing your sexual identity through that. So the consciousness is already there. Hey, I have this old school, old fashioned, simple love for my wife, for my husband. And so when I'm having sex with them, it's like this because I love them. That's why it's like this. And so that's why it's love making. Because all I'm doing is just showing them love. And then, sex happens to be a part of that love making. You know, like, that's what makes it so big. That's what makes it so holistic. You're saying, when I be dancing with my wife, you know, I be two-stepping with her and everything. You know, I'm caressing her waist. I'm saying little things. I'm complimenting her. I'm giving her affirmation. I'm like, girl, man, you are an awesome mom. You know that? It's like, what? For real? Man, and then you having the conversation. He's just making her feel good. Celebrating her accomplishments and all that. That's just prepping you for what's about to go down in the bedroom.
That's 100%.
But it also stimulates self, though, John. It stimulates self when you give affirmations and compliment your spouse. And the reason why I say that, it's more of a 360 of knowledge. And here's why. To decide, choose, and execute, you got to remember, they didn't just pick you. You picked them as well.
Yep.
That's a reflection of you. So to see the beauty in that, and that still gives you a high, it still turns you on, it still puts you in the mind frame, man, you did that shit today. I'm fucking the shit out of you later. You know what I'm saying?
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Flat
She
out.
might like it. She might like it direct. She might want it indirect. It might be little songs that you send to her.
Man,
Little song
all that.
recommendations, right? It's the environment. I also want to throw out in response to this question, and yeah, we really gotta wrap it up.
Oh, damn.
Sex therapist, yo. Sex therapist. That's an investment.
It is.
They have best practices, best ideas regarding sex, healthy views. Like, they are the advocates of sexual education. They take it to the next level. And you can find a sex therapist that aligns with your orientations, whether you're black, white, Asian. Like, you know,
Man.
they out there. They out there. You don't have to be in person to do that. You're just requesting information. You're requesting insight. You're requesting direction, instruction. Because yeah, a therapist could be your coach, right? Your sex coach saying, all right, hey, this is your assignment. I want you guys, before you have sex, the next time you have sex, I want you to say 5 things about each other that you love. Just before you get started. Just say, right? That's an assignment. And then I want you guys to document and talk about what that did for you. And then in our next session, we're going to talk about that, right? And it's like, well, why is that even important? That's not important. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Because together, so the therapist gives you the assignment, right? But you together as a unit, you accept the assignment and say, we're going to try this out for ourselves. You're not in our bedroom, but you gave us just enough information for us to try it out ourselves, and we trust you. We know that you have a mature mindset. So when we deliver our report, our findings, it's all love, it's all healthy. And then we can figure out whether that's something we want to incorporate or not. That can become our practice. So getting a sex therapist in your corner, and it ain't got to be like a whole year. Maybe you just need a touch up. Hey, I just want to improve on our sexual communication and our sense of adventure and our sense of understanding and our intimacy for the next 3 months. That's all we want. That's all we can afford, because it's going to cost.
Yeah.
Sex therapist. That's one option. Y'all got any closing comments?
I got one real fast. He went first early, so I'm going to jump out real quick. I just want to say I encourage any and everybody, take the time out. Even if you're dating, even if you're doing smash and dash, go get tested. Please, just get tested. Get tested, get tested, get tested. I got tested myself in, I think it was October. And I just encourage everybody to go get tested. Don't be afraid to know your status. Don't be afraid to know what's going on with you. You know, I had a little bit of high cholesterol. I got a little stress. But just go get tested. It's okay to know where you at. It's the best way to see where you strong or you got some work you got to do. Oh yeah, and I need to lose like 50 pounds. But go get tested, man. I encourage you to go get tested. And if you're currently in a relationship, I encourage both of y'all, go get tested together. Make it a date. Go get tested together. And when you come back home, sit down and have the uncomfortable awkwardness of a conversation.
It's beautiful.
You know, let's make this uncomfortness, this being ashamed of each other or holding secrets back. Let's get back to the art of talking. Turn off the TV, turn off the radio, put the phones down, sit down in front of each other or side by side and really engage in real healthy conversations, mainly the difficult ones. It's important. You say you want to be there, you say you want to build, let's talk. Let's communicate, y'all. Let's get back to exploring each other's minds. The body is always going to be there and it's forever changing. But some of these thought processes, we've been having them since we was kids. Let's build this up, man. Let's talk. Let's talk. Know your status.
Love it.
Sherm, closing comments?
I can only speak from the man's point of view. fellas, to piggyback, yeah, go get tested. Go get tested. And I would say in my lifetime, 25 intimate interactions with women to see what you're attracting and to see what you like. At least 25, so you can see in every which way, shape, or form. And I mean, if you can try every flavor, try it. See what you like. See what you want to hold your hat on. Because it all comes back to black. No matter how you look at it, whatever we go into, everything comes out black. So it starts and ends with us. So I'm not ashamed of whatever you do. I love my sisters, and that's where I'm staying. But that's just my preference. Know your status. Get at least 25 intimate interactions with, and it doesn't have to be everybody that you're interested in. It could be your sisters that you talk to. It could be their homegirls that you talk to. It could be your homegirls that you talk to.
Be clear. Say that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And why I say at least 25, because you got to know what you're attracted to, because you are what you attract. So if it's constant damaged people, you got to go fix something. It ain't just them, because that's who you're picking. Know what you're doing, know your energy, and put your best foot forward.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like that, sermon. I like that. And understand, intimacy don't always end in sexual intercourse.
It's not always sex.
Right.
It can be turning the TV off and talking.
Massaging, cuddling, eye contact, breathing with each other.
Everything.
Just touching.
It's a hell of a journey.
Really is.
And don't nobody really want to be alone. So you can scream that shit from the rooftops. I'll never believe it. It's always good to go through this crazy life with somebody else that kind of sees it your way. That's reassuring. Man. That's a hell of a fuel, and that'll reach you to the moon if you want it.
That's
shit.
That's high vibe, right? Where you can just, again, we're looking at sex from a performative view, right? But you can just lay there with the person, like both of y'all are naked, not doing, just lay there. Just
man, who's talking?
That's hot.
Boy.
That's beautiful.
Like just being, right? We're not saying doing anything, but just being. Like you're basically saying, yo, you're good as you are. You know,
God,
you're good. You're just good as you are. You don't have to do anything for me. You don't have to suck, kiss, rub. Just exist.
Look, listen, Sherman Skywalker. I want to say something. What you're talking about right now is equivalent to hugging a tree. It grounds you.
That's true.
It grounds you.
That's true.
If you think I'm lying, try it. Lay naked next to your spouse or significant other, husband, wife, what? Just lay there, lay naked. You ain't even got to touch.
Yeah, because they're dope, right? Like if you really into them, it's just they don't have to. They just dope.
that's you literally feeding off their spiritual energy, and it'll take you to places that you probably ain't never thought you could.
Like you just a good person to be around. That's it.
Man. Come on, man. Let's say
and that I feel close to you just being here. You don't have to do anything to make me feel close. Just be here. Let me smell you. Let me see you. Let me reach. You're just right here, and you're just there's no words. You're just and I just want to chill here for a while.
It's such a beautiful thing.
We got 20 minutes just to just do this. Okay, yeah,
man.
TV. That's okay. I'll watch you and the TV.
Exactly.
Man, complete recharge. I promise you.
Right, to really be into a person, right? But I understand, again, we still talk, but I understand, right? That's not easy to find.
No, it's not.
It's not easy because there's a lot of, what's the word? We say there's a lot of basic people around. We say that, right?
That's true.
Yeah. But, just being dope, not because of what you can do, but just who you are, you are. Like you're kind, you're compassionate, you're understanding, you're patient, you're gracious, you're forgiving, you're just cool, you're well-spoken, soft-spoken, you're all of these things. And I know it's in there, but you don't have to show it to me right now. I just know it's there. You're showing me enough consistently, and it's there. But I get it. We're living, and we get distracted. We get distracted from that, and that becomes too much work. And if you're not practicing the lovemaking, if you're not practicing the art, you end up losing it, and you end up sucking at it.
Exactly.
And then there's the emotion that comes with that, right? What do? We get mad because I'm out of practice or I'm not as good as I used to be. Oh, my age has caught up with me. Oh, my back. I got on it.
My bad. But man, I would
John, I
love
want to throw
to.
this last one out here real quick. I know we're
I'm
trying to
my bad,
leave.
dude.
But I just want to say,
Yeah.
don't shame nobody for being clingy. Don't shame nobody for being clingy. That just might be the way that they are. And because you are who you are, they really into you. Be
You
okay
got to
with
work it
that.
out. Yeah, you got to negotiate. You got because you
Man.
know
Mhm.
what? Uh, my Virgo goddess is clingy, right? But
Man,
it
I love it. I love it.
it's a good clingy though. Like
See, that's
it's
what I'm
right.
saying. Healthy.
It's right there in the middle. It's like sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, like, but I know what to do, right? But yeah,
I love that. Don't shame anybody for anything.
you
Please don't.
just
Yeah.
Because
negotiate.
it may just not be for you. That's all. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what they're into. None of that matters. Because if it's not for you, the only thing you need to be worried about is you in that moment. You just nurture. Just nurture who they are. It don't because I celebrate anybody for who they are. Because
But you can
the thing that
compromise though,
aggravates
right?
you can
Yeah,
always
hell yeah, you can
Yeah,
compromise.
you can
compromise.
And it,
compromise because,
yeah,
like, if she's clingy and you're just a little aloof, right? But you like the clinginess. You want her to
You
stay
do.
interested, intrigued, interested, right? So you gotta negotiate because you're like, yo, I don't want you to be like this with nobody else but me. But I need just a
Man.
little space. You communicating.
Yeah,
absolutely.
give me 10
You
minutes.
figuring it out. Because you're
Yeah,
I,
like,
give me
yo,
10
you're dope.
minutes.
But hey, we just gotta harmonize a little. Like, can I give you a little bit of this, and then you give me a little bit of this, and then we good? Yeah,
exactly.
babe. You know what? That's fine. You know that I can adjust. I can adapt.
Because you don't and the reason I say what I say is because if you shame,
Mm.
you don't know how fast that door can close, and sometimes it'll never
Oh
open back up.
yeah.
Man,
Don't
don't shut
Damn.
them
do
down.
that.
Nah,
Not to
don't shut
somebody
them
that you
down.
say that you love. You never do that to somebody that you say that you love. You don't do that.
Right.
Even if that's not for you. If you feel like you can accommodate it a little bit, it's always about a middle ground because it's not always
Mm.
about just you. It's two people coming together. That's the hardest thing in the world to do, but it's the most fulfilling. Because when something is hard, it gives you back so many jewels all at once, and you never knew that you wanted those. You never knew that you can use those as fossil fuel. You never knew the jewels that was there. You had no idea. But your
Mm.
communication and your willingness to accept has
Yeah.
opened up crazy.
Yeah, because
doors for
you opening them up like it's a safe space, right? So
That's
why
what it is.
they gonna pour in? It's like, yo, this is a safe space. I can put all this here,
Yeah.
even the keys. The
Yeah.
whole thing,
All
I
of
can just put it all in. You can put it all in there. I'm not judging. But
all
hey,
of it.
some of this stuff I'm not judging, but some of this stuff can't stay. You know that, right?
Exactly. And that's all we saying. Just have a safe space. Because we go out into the world and we judged about every single thing that we do. That's the war zone. Why would we not want to come back to somebody that accepts us for everything that we are?
Mm.
I know that's hard to find, but if you can hear me, all I need you to do is because I think honestly, all people really need is to be seen and heard.
Mm. But you
Do
know,
that.
this kind of ties into the emotional intelligence, doesn't it?
It does.
Because yeah, there's a
It
presumption that you have the emotional intelligence to
Just to
convey.
not condemn.
Yeah.
Dog, I don't care about
Damn.
what you do. Just and if
Mm.
you tell me, that's interesting. I've never came across that. How about you say that instead of that's weird? See, now that door is closed, and now you'll never get it open again. Why don't you talk to me? Why don't you tell me stuff? I can't tell you some of my deepest, so why would I tell you some of the surface that I don't want you to know? Now I'm
Oh, but
picking and
that's
choosing.
different. You can't fault me for that. That was one time.
See what I'm saying? And that one time can change the entire trajectory of their relationship. Just like that 5 seconds
Man,
with you a baby.
it can change their timeline, period.
That's what I'm saying. So don't condemn. Try to accept because you would want somebody to accept you, right? For everything that you are. All your ugly, all your good, all your bad. That's what you want. That's what everybody's looking for. That's what they say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're
be
saying
the
don't be a
person that you wanna
hypocrite.
be. Yeah, don't be a
Don't
That
be,
hypocrite.
don't be a
part. What you
hypocrite.
say?
Don't be a hypocrite because if you do, you'll always find yourself condemned and locked behind a door that you can't
Oh,
open.
yep, there it is. Yeah.
That's what happened.
So that's another reason why we would be afraid to disclose because we're afraid that we would give the treatment that we give others, that we would receive the
Absolutely.
treatment that we give others.
Absolutely.
I shame and I'm afraid to be shamed.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I'm
hard to look
afraid
in
that
the
it's gonna
mirror.
come back because I've done it so.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's hard to look in the mirror and you not accepting something about you. So until you can look at that
Mm,
mirror and say, I love everything in there, that's when you can accept somebody else. So before you
accepting.
do anything, you gotta love you. Do that and you'll be able to accept any and everything because it's not always about you. Just because you accept it don't mean you have to be with it. You can be like, oh, you know, that's just not for me, but I love that for you. And I know some people out there that like it. And they gonna love you, even if I can't. That's what that's about. Don't do something that you won't done to you. It's really easy. It's been told to us since we were children.
Golden rule. Yes, sir.
Come on now.
All right, folks. We have definitely overstayed our welcome with you guys
Yeah.
tonight. But hey, I mean, the conversation was like brewing and it was cooking. And then, we came back for seconds and then it was like, oh, we dropped a few crumbs. So
I love it.
I don't know what we're going to be talking about next week, but hey, stay tuned, stay live. And hey, happy Lover's Day.
Get tested.
Love.
And get tested. All right. This is things that people don't want to talk about. Brought to you by God Level. We will see you guys later. Salute.
Peace.